David Menzies for Rebel News here in Uxbridge, Ontario, and I'm at the Wooden Sticks Golf Club. And this is the venue for a People's Party of Canada event. It is featuring the leader of the PPC, that would be Maxime Bernier, and Frank Stronach, who is the self-made multi-billionaire of Magna International. Also on hand is the local PPC candidate, that would be Patricia Conlon. And the discussion that's going to take place is called a political and economic discussion. Certainly politics and the economy very much on the front burner these days as we have a federal election underway. Let's go into the venue and see what these folks have to say. And we are going to have time, I understand, for some exclusive interviews. Stick around for that. Let me ask, I take it by the sweatshirt you're voting PPC. Why are you placing your vote with the PPC?
It's got the best platform. I think COVID changed a lot of things for people.
Okay.
I'm a musician. I'm not naturally gravitating towards politics, but my eyes opened during COVID.
I don't like the other parties.
Process of elimination.
Yep. They both suck. I got to say something about Trudeau. Trudeau is stupid dangerous, and Carney is smart dangerous.
The last 10 years of our economic decline, it was the Liberal Party in office, and that Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau going back to 2020. So I'm just curious, how do people buy Mark Carney as he calls himself, an outsider, a fresh leader, giving this kind of linkage?
Well, they're worried about their health care and their pensions. Mostly, I assume, sort of older people.
What is the goal if you have the best ideas for this country and you keep them for yourself? I want you to be part of the change. That is a revolution that we are doing today, a real revolution. And we need everybody to do that revolution together.
Well, folks, I'm with Maxime Bernier. He is, of course, the leader of the People's Party of Canada. And first of all, Maxime, thank you so much for your time. I know you're going to make a presentation here at the golf course, but so much to talk about. But let's talk about the thing that is on everyone's mind. I can't go anywhere without anybody asking me this. A few months ago, the polls, if you believe them, indicated that the Pierre Poilievre Conservatives were in landslide territory. Now, those same polls say it's a horse race and a photo finish at that. What's your take on that? And do you think that these polls are accurate?
No, I don't. I don't. I don't trust these polls. And actually, when they're doing polling, they don't put the People's Party there. So I'm traveling like you across the country, meeting people, and I can tell you, we, the People's Party, have more support than what they are telling Canadians about us.
Do you believe the polls right now?
No, absolutely not. And in fact, if you look at Rumble's poll, Chris Pavlowski, who's the CEO of Rumble, did a poll, who would be the best leader for Canada, and Maxime Bernier was the clear winner.
All politicians agree, all business people agree, well, most people agree, if the economy doesn't work, nothing else will work. If the economy doesn't work, you cannot feed the hungry. You cannot look after the most fragile people, the elderly, the sick, and the handicapped. But we do not talk. What drives the economy is the most important subject. We don't talk about it. There's reasons why. Because the world is still ruled by the golden rule. The people which have the gold or the monies, you don't see them anymore like the kings, in hundreds of years ago. Right, so you don't see the people which have, they might live in Hawaii, they might live in Beverly Hills, they might live in Monaco, but they don't want to share the profits with the employees. Now isn't it the most logical reason? So I'm not teaching, I'm not preaching, let's take away from the rich. I'm saying we must let the employees participate. When we bake the economic pie, When they participate, everybody gets a bigger slice. So that is really the reason, right? Our living standards gone down over and over and over, right? So there were liberals on the managing or the majority in parliament, or conservatives, right? You mean what we have is we have an environment where the debt's going up, right? And where the bureaucracy going up, and where the imports are high, right? That means a perfect formula, like a freight train going down the hill without a brake.
I think you were way ahead of the curve going back to 2018. In fact, it's kind of what got you into some hot water with the Conservative Party. But you were speaking out against unsustainable immigration. And I see immigration today. I see fraudulent immigration. I see, there's no other way to say it, immigrants who are not culturally compatible with Western values, Canadian values. And here we have it, even last year, the Liberals were admitting, yes, the levels were too high. What's your take on the immigration question?
The take is we must have a pause on immigration. We must have a moratorium on immigration for a couple of years until we fix that problems. You're right. Right now, you have mass immigration and you have multiculturalism. Multiculturalism, you know, the logic of that is every culture is equal. They are not equal, like you just said. We are having people coming from the third world with their culture. It is not the same as the Western civilization countries like us, Canada. So we need to stop that. And now, because of that mass immigration, more people are coming to our country. Yes, the economy is growing, but the population is growing faster as the economy. So that's why, you know, the GDP per capita is going down, our purchasing power is going down, our standard of living is going down. We need to stop that. But Polyev is okay with 250,000 more immigrants every year, and add to that the temporary foreign workers, the international students, the refugees. That will be almost 1.5 million new foreigners over 3 years in Canada. It's too much. It is mass immigration.
When you talk to constituents here, what are the biggest concerns, or is there one concern that predominates?
It's what I find is that things have, if you can believe it, have become even more polarized. You're either, we just have to get Carney out at all cost, and it's like irrational fear there, or never Polyev, irrational fear. There's really nothing in between, and most people are talking about the tariff threat. They're not looking at the issues objectively across the board. The people who do, they always come up with the same conclusion, and that's People's Party of Canada is the best platform for Canada.
Oh, is that what you're hearing when you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the best for our youth who were forced, you know, during COVID to take an experimental product, and the businesses who were locked down. It's the best for the economy with the lower tax structure, and also negotiating with U.S. instead of retaliating with tariffs. So people who educate themselves see the difference, and so if we could get a little bit of boost from the media, we could get Max in the debates. I think it's very possible to win seats, but we do need media coverage, and we need Max in the debates, and we need people to step up and just vote for their values.
First of all, when we're young, we all hustle a bit to make some monies. Okay, and as most people know, I'm the founder of Magna. I created a company with 180,000 employees, right, and 440 factories in 34 different countries. I could have lived, you know, when we're younger, we want to make some money so we can live in dignity. I could live in dignity in 34 different countries where we have factories, right? I chose Canada. Canada is a great, great country, but we have major problems, and the most important thing is it's the economy. Okay, it's the economy. All politicians agree, pretty well all business people, all people agree. If the economy doesn't work, nothing else will work. If the economy doesn't work, you cannot feed the hungry. You cannot look after the most fragile people, the elderly, the sick, and the handicapped. But how come we don't talk about the economy? It's the most important subject.
How would you look upon the way your party is treated in the mainstream media these days?
you know, we are, they are canceling us. They don't want to give us any visibility. And, you know, the mainstream media is dying, and that's great. And, you know, I'm giving them the opportunity to cover us every day. Every day I'm doing a press conference live at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and every journalist across the country can ask me a question. They are not participating in these press conference. And it is sad because 840,000 Canadians voted for us at the last election. When they are canceling us, they are canceling the voice of 840,000 people who voted for us. So that's why our position on the mainstream media is to just, you know, cut the funding, and we'll save $2 billion, not only for CBC and Radio-Canada, but all the mainstream media. We want them to be independent and not being dependent on the government for money.
Well, it's destructive for society because we're being led down a path where we're told there's only two choices, and it's the same two choices we've had throughout our life. It's either the Liberals or the Conservatives, when in fact that's a lie. There's actually a functioning party. I've met PPC candidates across the country. It's the best platform for Canada by far, economically, social values, all of the policies, and yet we're being removed from the conversation. I hope that there will be a shift next week and Max will be allowed in debate. I pray for that because putting Max up there will really show people conviction, courage, and Canada first instead of the fake slogans and the fake promises from the other side.
Whoever the next Prime Minister is, or whoever the next Minister of Finance is, Mr. Stronach, what would be your advice? Say 3 tangible things to fix this economy in which the debt and deficit, many people argue, is out of control.
Yeah, I'd like to make comments in regards to the economic charter of rights because, you know, society came a long way from the caveman to the hunter and hunted, and then you had the kings and the servants, and now we have bosses and disgruntled employees. Why did Magna do well? I treated my workers as partners. Every day I went to work, I always looked in the mirror. What do I have to do that workers respect me? So the reason Magna did so well, we had an economic charter, right? We shared the profits with the workers.
Can't the PPC and the Conservative Party cease hostilities? Can't there be reunification and come together as one? Is there any hope for something like that?
No and yes. No, actually, right now, because we don't share the same policies. If Poilievre agrees with all our policies, I'll be with him. But he's doing the opposite on climate change, on immigration, on the war in Ukraine, on the woke ideology. He is not a conservative, and that's why, you know, he's not able to win. People have a choice right now: the real liberals or the fake one. And they will choose the real one. That's the poll are telling us today. They may choose the real one, but Poilievre just has to be a real conservative, and he will be able to have more support from us. You know, we are, if people like our ideas, we are telling them, vote for our ideas because we will support Poilievre when he'll be a real conservative and shame him when he won't. So it's a win-win. If we have more influence, our ideas will grow and more people will know that, because still in Canada, maybe half of the population don't know that we exist. We need to be out there. This party is there for the long term. And I was with them, and, you know, they're intellectually and morally corrupt. They don't speak about conservative values where they're not that popular. And by doing that, they're giving credibility to the leftist narrative, to the liberals. So that's my advice to Poilievre. Be a real conservative and don't blame me if you're not able to have more support. And it's not my fault. It's Poilievre is a weak leader.
Well, I confess I was always a conservative voter as a small business owner up until COVID. And it wasn't just the lockdowns and the mandates. I started seeing how they were taking the same liberal position on the mass immigration. They were supporting it. Direct flights from India is what Poilievre said. We have, both of them are agreeing to all the net zero policies that are obviously, we know, unachievable, and we'll never be able to get our productive capacity going if we're in the Paris Accord. So I think until the Conservative Party becomes truly conservative, there's no splitting the vote. There's only one party party that's fighting the globalist agenda, exit the WHO, exit the UN Migration Pact, stop the pandemic treaty, deport criminals. That's PPC. That's what the Conservative Party of Canada is not doing. And so until they start taking a true stance, there can't be a union. This election, for me, it's about voting for leadership. How can you trust a leader who was silent during all the gross harm that's been done in the last few years? I mean, we need new leadership. And so for me, the best outcome in this election would be to have some PPC candidates winning.
My assessment is the human charter of rights in Canada alone is not sufficient. We have to fortify it with an economic charter of rights. Economic charters of rights will lead to economic democracies, and economic democracies are the basis for democracy itself. We can't have a democracy unless we got an economic charter of rights.
Why should I vote for the People's Party of Canada?
Because right now, this country is not working economically, socially, and culturally. We need to do bold reforms. And the only party that is promoting bold reforms about mass immigration, ending multiculturalism, it is the PPC. So if you want a real revolution, a common sense revolution, a quiet revolution, vote for us. And that revolution won't happen in 1 year or in one election. And we need to grow our support. And, I count on you because I want you to vote in line with your ideas. And like that, we will win that battle of ideas. We have the best ideas based on the Western civilization values. Let's support us. And, we will always fight for you. And we are putting Canadians first and our country first. So look our platform, go on our website, read the platform, People's Party of Canada. See if you like it. I hope you support us because we are ready to work for you and with you.
Hey folks, I know you love it when Rebel News brings you the other side of the story, but the fact is we need your help. Unlike the mainstream media trained seals, we don't get a nickel of Mark Carney liberal money. That's where you come in. If you're able to, kindly make a donation. Go to campaign2025.com. That's campaign2025.com. And like I said, if you're able to, please make a donation so that we can continue to bring you the other side of the story.